the most important thing to talk about. The most important thing is the regular season debut of the ABS system. Now, before we talk some specifics, how are we feeling about how it's been used so far?
Let me tell you, just like the Ghost Runner, this is a success. This is a W.
A weird looking
Absolutely.
W to look like an L.
It's an absolute win because it makes the game enjoyable, quicker/correct. They do the call, they tap the helmet, and it's over in 4 seconds. Right or wrong?
You're
I
right.
love that aspect of it. I love that now, hey, you don't like the umpire, don't think he's giving you a fair shake? Do something about it. Can't prove him wrong. Can't prove him wrong. I think this is another Manfred W.
I mean, bait aside, you are right about how it's affected the game. Let's not give Manfred too much credit.
I mean, it's just back to back improving the game moves.
I mean,
What do you,
personally,
what
I
do you
like to
mean
think
improving the game rules back to back? What's the other like?
I mean, the bigger
Ghost
base,
Runner.
the bigger
uh,
bases.
The bigger bases too. 3.
I mean,
The
the
only,
Ghost
thing, the
Runner,
only thing this guy can't get right's the home run derby.
although the Ghost Runner has bastardized extra innings, and none of those stats should count. But as somebody who had a small role in the development of ABS back when it was in the Atlantic League, and it was used to call full games, it is really cool to be an unknown, unsung part of baseball history. Like, I still have the little earpiece that we would hook up to the umpire in those games, and he would hear ball and strike as they were developing the strike zone of a TrackMan. And seeing how far it's come since I did that in the summer of 2019 to now, it is really cool. One of my favorite memories of that is this one baseball player. His name was Will Kenger. Now, he wasn't a minor leaguer. This was literally independent baseball. And he was one of the best players on the Somerset Patriots, first baseman. And he struck out on a pitch that he didn't like. So he, instead of looking at the umpire and yelling at the umpire, he turned around and started yelling at me in the press box. Now, I was at every game. And I would have to sometimes go down to the field, readjust stuff with the umpire. So everybody knew who I was and what I was doing. I had the little credential that said, my name, MLB on it. And I got yelled at by the players instead of them yelling at the umpires. And I thought that was awesome. I loved every second of it. To seeing how it's gone from that to now, the little 4-second tap of the head, it's a really cool evolution. And I think this is the best case scenario for it, where it's not taking away that human element.
Not yet.
Do you think they're going to add more challenges or completely replace the whole thing with it?
I do think we're going to see some slight tweaks.
I think eventually that guy is going to be there just to have the earpiece. I mean, if it's so accurate and it's 100% and we're getting the correct results and it's not disputable because it's working at that high of a level, I think eventually you're going to have the umpire at home plate. His job goes from the hardest to the easiest.
My only issue is, one of the best parts about baseball is that it's so strategy based. You can't win on pure athleticism alone. You have to really think, and that's why it's always been called the thinking man's sport.
I'm not saying it happens next year.
No, of course. But I think this is one of those things where there are other unions involved. The umpire union isn't going to want to lose that. And I think that's going to be a major fight, and nobody wants to see replacement umps. We're facing the NFL season with replacement.
Don't need them. I mean,
we don't have
could throw me or you back there. I'm just if like you don't want to see replacement umps. Well, if it's just somebody that's calling balls and strikes with an earpiece, it kind of doesn't matter who it is. But you want to have a real umpire back there because, hey, let's say for whatever reason at Blue Jays Orioles, ABS system's down. Now what?
And that was literally a large part of my job when we were developing it was when the system would go down, log what the umpire called versus what the system called. Did the umpire say a strike when it was a ball? Was it vice versa? How did everybody react to it? And I thought that was one of the most interesting parts, and that's why I'm so against replacing the total system, because the strike zone, and we've seen this now with a lot of the ABS overturned, we're talking centimeters, balls that barely clip the zone that nobody
It's like
would
a tenth of it, like a tenth.
right. Nobody would say, okay, that's a strike, even though by the letter of the law it is. And I think that fluid zone, not completely. Like I've seen clips of the ABS system superimposed over of pitches from the 90s and seeing how big that zone was. But having rounded corners makes a lot more sense. I've seen some people say we should have a rule where, 10% of the baseball needs to be inside the zone for it to really be a strike.
I think I was going to say, I think what's more important for the zone with the umps is not whether if they're getting the exact correct strike zone, but more if they're calling their strike zone that they have for that game, all game, it's the same strike zone.
Right.
Yeah.
More so than getting the actual, whatever the actual strike zone is supposed to be. I feel like if they're just getting the one there.
Well, I mean, you could ask Salvador Perez, though. He's out here teaching umpires what the bottom of the strike zone is.
Yeah, that has been the most challenged portion of the zone, and that should surprise nobody.
Yeah, I mean, Salvi came out and said that, and I'm sure other catchers feel this way, up and down is going to be way easier for these catchers to challenge than right to left.
I don't know if you guys ever umpired Little League at all.
I coach. I didn't.
When I was younger, one of my first jobs was as a Little League umpire. And, I remember sitting back there with the gear on umpiring, and, we're talking umpiring 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds. And, up, not that difficult, but down, you can't really see. You're guessing half the time because you have your gear plus the catcher blocking that part of the zone where you kind of have to see the pitch come in, but you're not sure where it lands because it's impossible to see it. Somebody's in front of you blocking that view. Side to side, you kind of get that. Up, again, you see that, but down, it's almost an educated guess based on where you last saw that pitch. And it's very, very difficult. But there's somebody who had more of a difficult time than anybody else. And I want to know, do you guys think CB Buckner is going to light himself on fire in a game at a protest? He had 8 calls challenged, 6 of them overturned in the Boston-Cincinnati game last week. Eugenio Suarez overturned back-to-back strike 3 calls to extend an inning, which ended up leading to a Reds win. It's insane how poorly he did, Buckner. Somebody who's been around a long time.
Well, I think it's good, though. I mean, these guys got to be accountable. If you are doing such a bad job as an umpire that on this podcast we are mentioning you by name, then get better at your job, man. Because there was a lot of other baseball series this weekend that had some overturned calls, and we're not talking about them. Not by name.
No, not by name. I mean, that was truly brutal, and I'm curious when we see our first ejection of a player tapping his head because either the umpire feels like they were shown up or the player did it too emphatically or said something, that's got to be coming where a player challenges a call and gets tossed.
I don't know. I mean,
the umpire, how umpires are.
I know. I'm just. What could you say?
He tapped it too quick. He did it too hard. It's coming. Where
would they still do the challenge though? Can you get a situation where they do the thing, gets thrown out, and then the at bat still?
The at bat would still be going, and the challenge would still stand.
Yeah, but then if he's ejected, what? If he gets
just like if a player gets hurt, they get replaced mid at bat by a pinch hitter.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I think it's going to happen sooner than later. I think we're going to see one where the umpire feels that they are being shown up.
Do you think the umpires get better over time though with the ABS stuff? If they're getting called, if it's a one specific call, they're getting completely overturned. Do they start recognizing? I think because if you're looking, do you think they start recognizing and get better over time?
They're too set in their ways.
I think that from my understanding, the players and umpires both are kind of at a good spot with this, where they feel like it's egoless. It's just about getting it right. We'll see
thought they-
over 162 how that stands. You know, if Eugenio Suarez keeps running into an umpire that keeps striking him out, is there eventually a relationship where he's like, I'm being targeted and I just keep tapping my helmet?
Like, all
But
that
did they
is
survey players though, and like the stuff that was like it's automatically the ABS, where it's not like full on, but only a certain amount of challenges? Or am I making that up?
You get 2.
Yeah, but I thought didn't they wasn't this all like sort of like this was like what they have now was like they asked all the players and the umps what they were like thought it should be.
you're gonna get a
I
I
wide
thought I
variety.
read that somewhere.
I don't recall where the number came to. I think 2 is fine. I think 2 is pretty similar. I think that's
Right.
how the NBA works with their challenges as
There are
well.
players though that still are speaking out against it, like Sonny Gray with the Red Sox.
Oh
He's-
my God,
that's
Chris
how-
Sale pissed me off.
Well, Sonny Gray saying how it creates a weird dynamic in the game and stops
Well,
the flow.
and Chris Sale, I'll never use it. Never. So if you
Well,
threw a clear
that's-
strike and it was a fastball down the middle and it was called a ball,
That
you would
did
just do-
happen with another. I think in another
just saying,
game,
You
it was
do
like a,
you do nothing, huh?
Well-
Game 7 of the World Series.
You know,
You're
in a
gonna do
perfect
nothing.
world,
I don't believe you. Like
Well-
maybe you won't, but guess who's going to tap his helmet? Drake Baldwin.
in a perfect world, the pitcher should never challenge a call because they are in the worst possible position.
I agree with that from a
Oh.
strategy standpoint. It should
Well,
only
just-
be the catcher.
Catcher, just because the pitcher is in a terrible position to see whether a
I
ball
think
is
on opening day we saw Freddie Peralta do challenge for the Mets, and he was correct.
I believe one of the Phillies relief pitchers also did a challenge on opening day, and he was incorrect, but it was by like a tenth. I
How many
think.
challenges do you think we saw in the first 35 games of the season?
166. I was just a shot in the dark.
And when I say in the first 35, I mean literally every game played over the first weekend.
Or how many? Like you go, I get 2.
The teams get 2, but you retain your challenges, so it's not like you only get 2. You get 2 until you lose them, so you can keep challenging. And then also
166. That's my guess.
give me a number.
124.
It's been 124 challenges over the first 35 total games.
ChatGPT.
I didn't look at. Hey, I didn't look it up. I just.
What percent were overturned?
57.
I'd say 78.
54% of calls have been overturned.
It's not bad.
So
Got-
honestly,
I might
that's
get
really
back.
not that bad. Like
No.
the umpires are still dictating the game. Players are still wrong, and I think that's a good thing. Like the closer to 100 you get of it being overturned, or the closer to 0 you get, that's the issue. If you stick in that like 40 to 60% zone, or really 45 to 55, I think that's where it adds value to the game, where it actually means something, where you're not
Yeah.
always going to be right or always going to be wrong.
Question for you here. And not that it's necessarily going to happen this way, but Game 7, World Series, 3-2 count, pitch is thrown, no swing, called strike, World Series over. I mean, how much is that going to kill the mood?
The same way it would on a world.
Because again, if it's a fly out or swing and a miss, again, it might not happen, but there'll be a playoff
Of
series
course.
in the next 2 years that ends and then doesn't end.
I guess the way I can kind of relate it to is, what if it was a balk runner from third scores? That also feels just as dirty, in my opinion.
I mean, what if the challenge is unsuccessful? I'm just saying,
Yeah, of course.
the disrupting the flow that way is what's
Or-
going to eventually go.
What would be
"Eh."
worse? An ABS challenge to end the World Series or a pitch clock violation?
That's another good thing that Manfred's done. The pitch
That-
clock.
don't even
Like
start
you
with
can't even
that.
say it with a straight face.
The-
Like
I love the pitch clock. especially for regular season baseball.
I don't know. I feel like one of the few that missed the 5-hour Yankees Red Sox game.
No, see, I don't because my amount of baseball consumption has gone up. I watch 2 to 3 games a day now, and when they used to be 4.5, 5 hours long, I'm not kidding you. I'd watch one. I watch more baseball because the games are happening quicker.
On average, it's 15 to 20 minutes. It saves.
But over the course of 3 games, that's an hour.
I will say,
if it's an hour, that's deciding if you're going to watch the games.
Yeah,
you can't deny the results.
You can't deny the results,
and viewership is there.
I think you can attack it.
Now they just got to get the game on TV.
Get it on TV, but I think the ABS works best when you're watching it on TV.
Yep.
But when you're at a ball game, that's where not the ABS, when the pitch clock, it works great when you're watching it on TV, but when you're at the ballpark, that's where it sucks.
Yeah, because being at the ballpark for a day used to be a thing.
Right. Now it's not.
Now it's not. So, that part for sure.
I do like the pitch clock when it comes to the West Coast trips, and they got rid of the 10-10 starts for the most part, I believe, where the Yankees are playing in Seattle now.
They got rid of all the 1 o'clock starts, and for everybody that has a normal 9 to 5, I'm sure that's fine. But for me, who works from home, it gets real annoying when I was hoping for afternoon baseball to be on.
So going back to the ABS, though, do we think that it's exposing bad umpiring, or is it showing how tough being an umpire really is? Just because how close a lot of the overturn calls are.
I mean, nothing to me about it is changing my opinion on umpires. To be honest, I figured it was just kind of baked into the hardest thing to do in sports is hit a baseball. The hardest thing to do in officiating is probably to call a strike or a ball consistently on the edges. So to me, it doesn't make me view umpires any different. I'm just happy that we're getting the more correct outcomes and we can do it in an efficient way.
Yeah, especially in key moments when it could be the thing from either having another chance to score a runner or keep an inning going or have an inning end. So,
see, I think it has kind of changed my opinion on umpiring. I feel like it's shown that a lot of the missed calls are very, very tight to the point where you kind of have to give them some credit. That's a really close call. We're not talking about the majority of calls being 2 inches out of the zone or, in the middle of the zone. We're talking about fractions of an inch. And I think that shows how good of a job the umpires have been doing. And that should be surprising a lot of people with how close a lot of the things are, because you always see the bad calls be, shown everywhere, but you don't see those really tight missed calls.
Yeah.
Now, any final thoughts on the first series of the ABS?
Can we talk about how on Netflix the first ever use of the ABS no one saw it because they were doing an interview in the dugout?
The Netflix presentation. Oh man, I just got over it. I just forgot it existed. Could we just end it as Netflix doesn't know baseball?
Who is that for?
I mean, listen, Netflix believes, and I understand it in theory because it's correct a lot of the time, even with sports, in event-based marketing. And whatever you are showing needs to be an event or spectacle. It works for football. It works for fights and boxing that they've gotten into. They're not in the basketball game yet. I'm interested to see if it would work there. It doesn't work for baseball, especially not opening day, because let's just be honest, 1 out of 162 isn't as important as 1 out of 17 for football, and Netflix is getting these football games Christmas, week 16, when things are really mattering. Yes, Yankees-Giants opening night was fun. Is that game really going to matter at the end of the year? Not as much. So, and another thing, and this is all sports, when the game says it's going to start at a certain time, could we at least get within a 5 to 10 minute ratio? That game said it was going to start at 8, and I don't think the first pitch was thrown until 8:40. Netflix is lucky Garrett Cole started the season on the IL, or else he would have. Do you guys remember a couple years ago that national anthem that took like 10 seconds too long and he was like screaming? Oh my goodness. Garrett Cole would have been flipping taxis.
I just don't understand it because baseball, people always talk about the baseball
They're
pure.
going for the spectacle. Now they have the home run derby this year, so I bet
That
that'll be.
sounds
I bet
interesting.
that will be good.
And they
Now,
have the Field of
They're
Dreams
just
game
not
too.
good at the game.
Right, and I think that's perfect. If Netflix wants to sponsor the
that's what
MLB
the
Skills
home run
Challenge,
And that's why the home run derby should go back to outs, not
Yes.
timed, because Netflix doesn't matter how long it runs, and let it be a
I
spectacle.
mean, actually, probably the longer it runs, it's probably better for them. Honestly,
I do think if the home run derby becomes a staple on Netflix, we will revert back to
I
the
pray.
old style.
Just the majestic home runs, Josh Hamilton, Robbie Cano.
Ben Rice.
Then one day I would bet Ben Rice does the home run derby.
This
But-
year.
Maybe.
is
But
that a
I
bet you
think
can lock in right now?
with Netflix, though, with baseball, again, baseball, we talk about the purists, the people who don't want to see things change. There are a lot of people, including franchises, that believe opening day should start with the Reds, the oldest franchise in baseball.
Oh,
Opening
I
it
don't
up.
care about that, but it should start at 1:00 in the
Right.
afternoon.
Or how about the Giants requesting a day game to open it up? And MLB saying, no, you're going to play the Yankees at 8:00 at night. That's why they kind of made a snarky tweet about how on Friday, game 2 was really opening day for them because they were upset that they had to play that one. And to be fair, you should not have a standalone opening day game at night. Just open the season. You know, not everybody has to play. You can split it because you should have a day off after opening day, especially for teams that play outside because of the weather. Like that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Half the games played Thursday, half the games played Friday. Like, or build it there. That makes sense. Not Wednesday night where you have a standalone game, a game that like isn't a marquee matchup. Like if you told me you're going to start Blue Jays Dodgers World Series repeat, opens the season, sure. Yankees Dodgers, Yankees Mets, Yankees Red Sox, Yankees Giants doesn't have juice. Like this isn't the Arson Judge opening day rematch. Like there is no storyline that connects it, and you felt that through the whole broadcast.
Barry Bonds was almost a Yankee until
That was the biggest
Steinbrenner told him at 2 p.m. deadline.
Like that was the biggest thing to come out of that game, and for Netflix, that was like the worst possible thing. Nobody's talking about how awful their score bug was, that it looked like a cat.
No, people were talking about it, and it was awful.
Like the broadcast itself, like wasn't great. The opening lineups, like
Well, I
wanna
knew
see
that we knew
dancing
that wasn't going to be
and
good.
Taxis,
To be fair, though, neither was NBC's opening lineup presentation with the Dodgers. That Freddie Freeman and Miguel Rojas were supposed to come out in a car, and the PA announcer didn't get the memo because he said their names, and then they didn't come out. And then he was like, Freddie Freeman, and he still didn't come out because like they were coming out in like a car. So it's that one wasn't just on Netflix. That does
Yeah.
felt very MLB. Let's try and make the lineups a spectacle.
it's
It's not the '96 Jordan Bulls. Let's just have them out there and let's rock.
baseball isn't 1 out of 82, 1 out of 17.
Yeah.
Baseball is 162 games, and then Netflix, for everything they did miss, the most historic aspect of that game. Like John was saying, the first ABS challenge in history, they missed. They had to cut back to it because they were doing something else.
Yep.
And that's the issue with turning things into a spectacle. You see this during the playoffs too. I don't want to miss action. I don't want to miss pitches and hear you tell me about it after the fact. Show me the game. I don't want to hear you talk and show me, what Matt Vasgersian is doing on vacation. Like, show me the pitches. I don't care.
Wait, but did you see enough Bert Kreischer?
I've seen more than enough Bert Kreischer to last me a lifetime.
But did you see him drinking that Corona? because they tried so hard to hide the label of that beer and failed so miserably.
Did you see him talk about being shirtless and be shirtless in the cold San Francisco Bay?
No, I missed that
What does
part.
Bert Kreischer have to do with baseball?
What doesn't Bert Kreischer have to do with baseball?
Like, I would have rather, Barry Bonds out in McCovey Cove drinking a Corona.
Yeah, Barry Bonds would not have rathered Barry Bonds out in McCovey Cove in March.
If you told Barry Bonds he can be in the Hall of Fame if he does that, he is taking a cannonball
Yeah.
right in there from the top of the stadium.
Mhm.
Like they I liked Pujols. I liked the pre and post game and how they did that. I liked some of the insight we saw. I liked the booth they had with Pence and Sabathia. That was fine. Bringing those guys, they give good insight. But let's leave off some of the not baseball related things. Like, do we really need Thing from Adam's Family throwing out the first pitch, just a mechanical hand? Like,
Hey, but Jey Uso yeeting, that was good.
see, people like that. That's called business synergy.
Yeah, it's also just Netflix, Adam's Family, WWE, Bert
Right.
Kreischer comedy special. Let's put everything Netflix all over this broadcast.
You're going to get the guy who remembers the New York Giants and remember their move, that 95-year-old man. He's going to see, what is this hand? I must check out this TV show. I wonder how many people saw that opening pitch and was like, you know what? I got to check this show out.
I don't. I think by the time people finally saw the first pitch of the game, they were already annoyed.
Yes.
Because I was.